Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Today we'll be meeting some celebrity mothers. If you've ever wondered what makes a star, perhaps the answer is the star's mother. Well, now is our chance to find out. In our studio, we have Marva Campbell, mother of Olympic champion Darren Campbell, Eve Pollard, mother of television star Claudia Winkleman, Sheila Redgrave, mother of 5 times gold medalist Stephen Redgrave, Joan Gavin, mother of star gardener Dermot Gavin, Julia Lawrence, mother of adorable child star Scott Chisholm, Mary O'Shea, mother of Big Brother star Caroline O'Shea, Hazel Ainsworth, mother of EastEnders star Casey Ainsworth, and Julie Peasgood, mother of actress Kate McHenry. A galaxy, ladies and gentlemen. What a glamorous and distinguished lot you are. Are we surprised that your kids are such a success? Let me start with you, Marva. Now, tell us about Darren. When did you spot his athletic supremacy?
It was his first sports day at school.
Yeah.
And it was just amazing. He just took off, you know, as soon as they said go. And he finished before most of them started, actually.
How old was he then?
He was 5.
Right, so you thought, there's a talent.
Not really. I was just, I was amazed at what happened,
yeah.
You know, and because I came from a bit of a sporty background.
In what way?
Well, I used to play, school sports.
Yeah.
So I was captain of like the netball team, rounders, athletics. I did athletics as well,
yeah.
But not to his standard. So we just took him along to the local athletics club, Sale Harriers, and the rest is history, as they say.
Well, it is indeed, and I'm sure we would like all of us to relive the moment when Darren won his silver medal. Is that right? It was at the Olympics, and it was the final 200 metres.
They get away, and John Capel got left in the blocks of USA. Campbell's running a good bend, and Malcolm's right up there as well. Nigel Bolden going out there in lane 8. Bolden maybe just in the lead as they come into the home straight, but Darren Campbell is right there. And here comes Kendaris, but it's Darren Campbell at the minute. Kendaris of Greece coming through. The Kendaris of Greece is going to hang on. Kendaris is going to get there from Campbell, and Bolden probably 3rd. Silver medal for Campbell. Kendaris wins it. Wow! Well, I thought this man was going to be difficult to beat. I tell you what, he might think back to 1992 and the World Junior Championships, because Kendaris was behind Bolden and Campbell on that occasion, but tonight he finishes in front. What a run by Darren Campbell. Campbell took the silver, and Bolden, as I said, got the bronze there. What a run by Campbell, but you have to hand it to this man.
Wow. What goes through your mind watching that?
Well, I was feeling the pain for him. It was because I understood exactly why he was crying.
Why was he crying?
It was just that he was crying from relief, because it had taken so long for him to achieve, and a lot of hard work had gone into it. And I really felt the pain for him.
And the pride, no
well,
doubt.
Yes.
Well, I think he's here to thank you in person for all you've put in to help him on his career. Ladies and gentlemen, Darren Campbell. Why the flowers?
Just to say thank you.
Thank you for what?
For the great support. She's always been there for me. After only finishing 6th in the final of the 100, you know, she was the first person that I spoke to, and she said, "Don't worry, you got another chance in the 200 metres," and the rest is history.
So she knew?
She knew.
Did she have more faith in you than you had, perhaps?
I would say definitely. There's been a lot of times over the years where I really did want to finish athletics and, you know, give it up, and she really stuck by me and kept telling me, no, it'll happen, and finally it did.
Athletics weren't necessarily his ambition, though, were they?
No, he preferred football, but I took him along to play football as well. but he wasn't a good footballer.
Did you? What did you think about that?
Well, the fact that I was school captain, I'd win Man of the Match trophies, I was at the same soccer school of excellence as Ryan Giggs and things like that, I felt I was quite decent. But my mum always used to say that I was rubbish. She said I was rubbish, I was a lazy footballer, I just waited at the halfway line and scored goals and I was just rubbish.
Quite a coach, that woman.
Definitely.
Does she know what she's talking about?
I think in her eyes, she could see the talent that I had at athletics. Basically, the reason why I was a good footballer was because I was so quick, and I think that was my main asset, and really, she just wanted me to do athletics.
Must have been quite arduous, because you must have had a lot of training, a lot of places to go to. Did she take you everywhere? Was it hard work for her?
Definitely. Obviously, when I was younger, before I could drive and things, she took me to all the competitions. She took me to Crystal Palace, where I first met Linford Christie, who's now my coach. And, you know, she's, as I say, she's done everything she could really for me, and winning the medal, finally, I don't know, just for me, it just meant everything. It was the fact that we'd worked so hard, because I see that we're a team in it all, and we worked so hard, and like my mum said, she's the only one really that knows the struggles that I've been through, so that's why I was crying at the end.
What happened if you started to slack off? Would she mention this to you?
I don't think she would, to be honest. I have slackened off over the years. I think one of the turning points in my life was the fact that I became a father myself, and I think from that I realised everything that my mum had told me over the years, and I had responsibilities myself.
So you're a grandmother?
Yes.
Another moment, I've no doubt, to put alongside the medal. Yeah.
Yes, another Darren.
Another Darren? Any good at running? How old?
Well, Darren's taught him already to start, so...
And how old is this son of yours?
He's 19 months now.
19 months?
But he's fast as well.
Fast in
Yeah.
nappies?
Yeah.
That takes some doing.
I think the fact that from really he could watch television and walk, my fiance would tell him every time I was on TV, and he'd go up to the TV as he got older and start kissing the TV. So I think he realises that running is something special in all of our lives. So it wasn't something really that I had to teach him. Literally, I just went, on your marks, get set. He stood still and was concentrating. And I said, go, and he just goes.
So does she come and watch you whenever you run?
No, to be honest. She's
Why not?
She's the only person that I can't allow to watch me.
Go on.
No, because when I was younger, whenever my mum used to come to the competitions, I'd get so nervous that I couldn't concentrate on what I had to do. So I think I got to about 17, learnt to drive then, and I banned her from coming to competitions.
You're banned. Do you mind?
No, because as Darren say, when I'm at home, if anything goes wrong, he'll phone me straight away, and we talk things through. So I have to sit there and watch everything, and if I see anything that's wrong, and I'll say, okay, we'll do this next time round.
What sort of wrong?
Even his start, because sometimes, you know, he labours at the start.
You have got two coaches. You have. Yeah, we'll see you running down the track next to Linford Christie. Gosh. So what ambitions do you have left for this one, for your son?
I don't have any ambitions left. All I want to see now is that he brings his son up the way that he was brought up. Because my daughter said to me about 2 years ago, she said, Mum, if I have any children, I'm going to bring them up just like you brought Darren and I up. And that, you know, that's what I...
Can't say better than that, can you? So Eve Pollard, broadcaster, writer, editor, and mother of Claudia Winkleman, the television presenter. What's been your proudest moment so far, do you think?
I think, like any working mother, you're just proud that she's got out there and she's done well, because all the time I was at work, people would say, you know, your children, you should be at home with them, you should be looking after them. So I'm just very proud of everything she does.
Any worrying moments when you've watched her on the screen?
Oh, well, when she first used to appear on live TV, if you remember Live,
Yeah.
I was one of the few people who could actually get it at the time. And I would phone her up in the ads, and I'd say, your fringe is sticking in your face, you've got not enough makeup on, and you should smile more. And then she'd come back, she'd get the message on her machine, and then she'd come back and but I think I was the only person helping her at that stage. I mean, she doesn't need my help now.
I'm beginning to get a picture, are you, of mums as coaches? Actually, we've got a very nice clip of Claudia when she was reporting, I think, from Japan for the holiday programme.
Now, I've got to ask you, what are the Japanese kids doing? Because they always get it first. What's the fad?
That's right. Well, the fad at the moment is there's a dance machine.
Yeah.
And you learn to dance on there. And also, they're really into photo stickers.
Photo stickers. I want to dance, though.
OK.
Can we do that?
Let's go there.
OK. Don't laugh, though. Don't laugh.
The photo stickers machines are called purikura, and there are over 20,000 of them in Japan. What was I thinking? We headed for one of the many sushi bars. A good bet is they're relatively cheap.
How's that?
That's good.
Crazy for trying. The Japanese gave karaoke to the world, and I gave it back to them. I'm crazy. Poor things. Loving you.
So what do you think when you watch that?
Oh, well, she's my baby, isn't she?
Yeah.
That's what you think. She's done terribly well. And she's funny. And she's always been funny. I wanted her to go into marine biology. Because she was a very good swimmer, and I thought there'd be a safe job. Or I thought she could work for BT in lieu of the bills that she ran up. Didn't mind which.
And she's a very clever young woman. She went to Cambridge, is that
Yes.
right? Got a degree, so she could have done something more academic, perhaps more respectable than the telly.
Yeah, I mean, I sort of tried to put her off the telly because there's a lot of rejection in this business, and you know, you want to save your child from any hurt and harm, but that's it. She's gone that way.
Do you think it's genetic? Do you think she couldn't help it with you as a mum?
I think that it's interesting when you watch children of journalists, they go into TV or they go into journalism. Yeah. I think there is something about the job which means it seems exciting, which it is. No day is like the next, and it's better than working.
Yes, it is tremendous fun. But there couldn't be more hard work, I think, than training the way Steve Redgrave has had to train. How many years has your son had to train to...
Well, he started at the age of 13.
Yes.
And he's trained, as he usually says, 49 weeks a year and 7 days a week.
Whose idea was it?
It was his... he was introduced into rowing by his schoolmaster, who asked him if he would like to join the rowing team, and of course he did. And
did anyone ask you your view?
No, I can remember when he first started, it was winter time, and he'd come home really late, well, 7-ish and what have you, and I used to say, "Where have you been to? Surely you've not been down the river all this time." "Yes, Mum, I have." And he was just, you know, sort of into his training early stages then. But
it must have been quite a lot of sacrifices in the sense of, you know, giving up other things, taking up an awful lot of time. Did you worry ever?
I wasn't really concerned about it. I think that people help, and when you've got a child at university or something like this, you know, that they you give them every assistance you can, and I felt that in Stephen's case he had an ability, and so nurture it.
Now, what about watching him?
Watching him is something totally different.
Go on.
Well, you sort of sit there and keep your fingers crossed and your feet crossed and just hope that he'll make it. And as I said, he usually did.
What's been the most exciting moment? The last time he won, perhaps?
We really were we'll always remember Los Angeles, his first medal. That was very special. and of course the last one where they've all been different in their own rights, but obviously the last one, he's crossed the line, he's made it, he's done his 5th medal, and it was just super.
It was a moment of great suspense because it was very close.
It was rather. From where we sat, we couldn't actually see whether he'd won or not. It was at the angle of as the boats go through, you get this angle. And in fact, his daughter didn't think he'd won at all. She burst out into tears and ran to her mother. But we checked with the scoreboard and we could see he'd done it, so it was okay.
Would you have had to console him if he'd not done it last time?
If he hadn't done it, he may have gone on.
What, yet another... I see. I see, yes. There was a famous quote, wasn't there, from him, saying, if anyone sees me anywhere near a boat, shoot me. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Yes.
He did say that, and I think he's lived to regret it ever since. Everybody brings it up. But he meant it at that time. Normally, when he finishes a race, he doesn't like to see anybody to see him exhausted. But he thought he wasn't going on, so it didn't matter if people saw him exhausted at that point. And it only took him a few weeks, really, to realise he wanted to go on.
Yeah.
I think Anne, his wife, wanted him to give up there and then, and we were a little concerned about his health then. But
is it bad for him? All the training?
No, I don't think it's bad for him, but as nobody has trained at that high level of intensity, nobody really knows what it will have an effect on.
In the long run?
In the long run, yes.
Well, there was another glorious moment, of course, when he was voted Sports Personality of the Year. Let's have a look at that moment.
And in first place, and BBC Sports Personality of the Year, the greatest Olympian of all, Steve Redgrave.
Hold on, boys. The Italians are coming strong. We're up to the line. It's 50 metres. Can we hold it? Watch out for Italy. Great Britain on the line. Here we go. Just Great Britain gets the gold medal and relief all round.
When I was 10, I had a dream to be Olympic champion, and that dream came about by a man called Mark Spitz. And I watched him in the swimming pool, winning 7 gold medals at that Olympics. And I thought, I fancy some of that. And from that time, I felt that I wanted to win an Olympic gold medal. In '84, that dream came true for me. And I came to the Sports Review that year, and something else caught my eye. I thought, I'd quite fancy one of those. 16 years I've been coming here. 6 times been shortlisted. I had to hint this time that I was going to retire.
Great speech, that. Why didn't he read it, Sheila?
Because he's dyslexic and he has to memorise or think about what he's saying at the time he's saying it.
Because reading's difficult?
Reading is difficult, yes.
I wonder whether that's given him even more determination.
Well, I've often thought this, but if you asked him, he'd say no.
So what's your view?
I personally think he's had a lot to prove, and it has had a bearing on his character and the way he's developed from being so determined to succeed.
All right, well, so far we've heard about people who've trained, who prepared themselves for stardom. But what about unexpected stardom, like Joan Gavin's son, Dermot? Let's have a look at him in Homefront in the Garden.
This swimming pool maintains an all-year-round temperature of 95 degrees.
Now this is my idea of a water feature.
The view from the bathroom is pretty spectacular, and they've even included a handy outdoor shower. It's all food for thought, but I'll have to forget the Hockney and make do with the Hackney.
saw his bum there, did you?
Yes, I saw it many a time, though.
Old news to you. Right, a gardener. Were you pleased that he became a gardener?
It came slowly. The other three were more academically minded, and I worried about him because he didn't seem no interest in school or books. But he'd always come and say, "Don't worry, Mum, I'll know where I'm going." He didn't know what, but he knew whatever it would be, it'd be good.
So it wasn't that he was growing mustard and cress on a flannel?
No, I remember he came from school one time and he needed exactly that.
Yeah.
And I sent him down to a neighbour because we knew nothing. We damp grass, nothing else. We'd walk from the gate to the front door. So we knew nothing and didn't want to know. 5 young babies, I wasn't into gardens, you know.
5?
So, 5, yes. 5 and 7 years. So
that was a crowded life.
It was, yes.
Hectic. Right, so obviously no time for gardening. Where did he get this yen for gardening?
We don't know. We still don't know. I've gone back, I've looked at everyone. I don't know. But he didn't know what he wanted. He went in working as a chef, then in a seed shop in town. And in the October, when he was working in the seed shop, he came home in October and his hands were bleeding. And I said, it's from the bulbs. They come in October and you have to peel them. And I said, my other children are all, you know, pretty well on the right road, and is this what's going to happen to him? But he'd say, no, don't worry. So then he came on and sat on the bed one morning and he said, I've been accepted for the botanics. And that's where you do your training for the horticultural.
Did you know that was on the cards?
No.
You didn't?
No.
Dark
very
horse.
lone, very secretive.
Right.
Reassuring all the time. Wouldn't give you trouble. If anything happens, he tells you when it's all over. Yeah.
Is that reassuring?
No. Surprising. He always gave us surprises.
Okay, so he studied gardening, studied horticulture.
Yes.
But this is still a very sort of difficult occupation, given that your other children were so successful.
Yeah.
When did you realise that he was really going to be special as a gardener?
Well, when he started that, I knew, yes, that suits him.
Yeah.
And he graduated, and but still wouldn't work for anyone. No. Wanted to do his own thing, did gardens, go and do old age pensioners' gardens when they weren't there. And
could you say that to me again? When they weren't there?
He would go in and saw some garden. He wouldn't do mine, but he'd do old age pensioners' gardens, you know.
I thought you meant sort of ground force before its time. He invented it. They went out, he'd do the garden, they'd come back.
No. He would, maybe they asked him to do something, and then he'd go back when they weren't there and do some more on it, you know.
Bless him.
But then he came and told me he was entering the Royal Dublin Society show. It's an agricultural show in Ireland.
Right.
And he had no money. He'd nothing. But he got the gold medal, and that was really something. For somebody with no money, no backup, no sponsors, you know. Lovely gardens there, but he did a dream garden. Yeah. And then the next year he did the same, got the gold medal there. Yeah. And in the meantime now he might go to bed and not do anything for days, you know, but...
One would be worried, wouldn't one?
Well, his older brother is kind of serious, and he'd say, what next, Mum? And when then something great had happened, we'd say, oh, it is him, you know.
When did Chelsea happen?
He was over here, I don't know for what reason, with some of his friends. And he must have had it in his mind. So he knocked at the door of Chelsea. And they said, go away, you have to be invited.
Well, it's a very big, grand door, that one.
Yes. And they said, you have to be invited. And he said, well, I'm asking you, you've never invited anyone from Ireland. So they said, no, you have to be invited. So he said, well, what can I do? So they said, go away and write a letter to us. So he didn't come back to Ireland. He went, found a secretarial place. And the lady who wrote the letter said to them, I was terrified when you all came in. It was the time that there was a lot of troubles in Ireland. She was terrified of them. So then she became friends with him. So he went back and presented the letter, and about a month later he got the invitation.
Now, when he did his garden, how well did it do?
Oh, God. Well, he'd no money, and you know the big gardens that are...
I do.
I mean, thousands and thousands of pounds. They hadn't a wheelbarrow. They walked around Sloane, is it Sloane's, you know, around?
Yeah, sure.
They hired it in a shop and had to trundle it along. They'd stay all night and they'd take things from other gardens to help them do the things. Then one night they were working and they broke the water main and the beautiful gardens beside them. But then everyone started taking pity on them and, you know, lending them things because they had literally nothing.
It was an Irish garden they were making?
Oh, it was a Yeats garden.
And did it win anything?
A bronze.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was. For the garden, the money, no sponsors, you know, only a few friends helping.
Were you convinced by now that...
Oh, well, we were always convinced by Dermot. He would just say, don't worry, I'll be fine.
And of course now he's a television star.
Yes. Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Well, you knew he was going to do things. You weren't really surprised, but you're waiting for the next thing now.
What do you think that'll be?
You never know. Never know. You just get loads of surprises, lovely trips, the whole family, no matter where, you know.
Where, like what?
Well, it'll be all... Last week it was over here for his book, you know, and the whole family must come, babies and everything. So it's exciting. He must bring every one of us with him. And loves to prove to you, you know, because he knew I was always worried about him.
Prove that he's a success after all?
Well, prove that he's happy and doing his own thing.
Do your children ring you when they have a triumph or when they're worried? We've heard Darren say that, and Marva say that when things go wrong, he's on the phone, or when he's concerned. Is that right?
Yeah, definitely. I think when I phone her to say I've done well, she goes, okay. She's only ever got excited once, and she's only really ever said well done once or twice. I think when I won the European Championships over 100 metres, when I won that, she was really excited because I'd been back in the sport 2 years, because I had 2 years break, and I'd been back in the sport 2 years and I won the European Championship, and she was excited then. But when I won the silver and I phoned home, she said, yeah, I knew you could do it. and that was it. That was all the emotions.
Right. Well, what do you find? What do you find, Eve? Does Claudia ring you when things go wrong, or...?
Both. And in the end, they just want you to be mum. So they don't want you to... I mean, I understand that perfectly, that you just say, oh, that's good, and then you talk about something else. They just want you to be a bouncing ball, I think, and to know that you love them, and if they're successful, that's great, and if they're not, that's great. It doesn't matter.
So not join the sort of rat race values?
Absolutely. You're just mum and you're just there to be supportive.
Right. Right, well, we've got a very young star in our studio, have we not? Scott, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Okay.
Right, has your mum been helpful?
Sometimes.
Right. Oh dear. Whose idea is it that you should act? Was it something you wanted to do or something?
It is quite fun. I like to do it, but when I'm older, I want to be a footballer.
There's a lot of people that want that. I mean, you heard, you know, Darren over there wanted to be a footballer and his mum said he was rubbish. Does your mum think you're any good as a footballer?
Sometimes when you're lucky when she says, oh, you're quite good.
Right. OK, so how long have you been acting?
About 3 years.
And how old are you now?
7.
So you started quite young. Right, how did it happen? How did it happen, Mum?
He hasn't gone into any of this intentionally at all. I mean, it's just happened. I dance and I teach dancing, and I used to work for the agency that he's now with.
Right.
And I used to have to pop into the office every now and again with Scott in tow. And they just used to say to me, oh, you know, and if anything comes along or if there's any castings that we think he might be suitable for, we'll send him along. So I just, you know, all right then. You know, I mean, he was too young for me to even think about it. He was about 2.5 at the time.
Has he ever embarrassed you?
Yes.
Go on, tell us.
He knows because he's laughing.
Go on.
There have been a couple of occasions, actually.
Yeah.
I took him along to a casting. He did the National Television Awards last year. And quite often I can't take him anyway because I'm working. I've got very good parents that take him along to a lot of the castings. But on this one occasion, I did actually go in with him. And my thing is I don't go in the room with him because I actually think he's better when he's not with me. And the way it worked, I had to go into the room. We came out of the lift, straight into the room for the casting, and I ended up sitting next to him. And he turned around to them and he said, I don't want to be here anyway. I don't want the job. And I wanted the floor to swallow me up, as you do, you know. But it's just, it's what makes a child say these things when you don't want them to say it.
What made you say it?
I know, just said it.
Yeah. Did you not want the job? Would you have liked that, you know, to relax and not do the job, or did you want to do the
I
job?
would actually like to do the job because it was in a different country.
Where was it?
I can't remember now. But it was somewhere near Australia.
That sounds like a good trip.
You're talking about a different one to me.
Have there been other occasions then when you wish the ground could open up?
Andy took him to a casting for Casualty, and apparently they said to Scott, oh, so you want to be an actor then? No, I want to be a footballer. So why are you here then? Because my mum wants me to be a presenter. And if there's one thing I have always said is that I'm not a pushy mum, but that just goes and contradicts everything and makes me look like one, doesn't it? But he just comes out with these things, but on both occasions he's actually got the job.
I got the job and I said, no, I don't want to do it.
Perhaps he's not so stupid.
Well,
you know about this. That maybe it's better to back into the limelight. May we look at the film which you know I love and which was an absolute classic. I'm not sure that I'm always fond of commercials on television, but this commercial was one that was completely irresistible. Let's have a look at Scott.
Once upon a time, on a little island where it often rained, there was a broadcasting corporation who realised that small people, like me, were different from big people. That's Wendy Miller. And so they decided to make programmes for small people as well. Thank you. Programmes that small people would learn from without even knowing it. Pew, pew, Bunny McGrew, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub.
Was it fun doing that?
Yeah.
I hear that you thought it would be more fun than it was, because you thought you'd meet all the people, and you didn't.
Yeah.
No, how did they make it?
They made Noddy's car, 2 boxes, and I had to sit on the floor. with the director pretending to be Noddy.
Bit of a disappointment, that. Yes. Your mum said she hates pushy mums.
Yeah, sometimes.
Right. Do you think that she likes you being a star? Do you think she likes you being an actor?
You don't know.
Ask her.
Do you like me being an actor?
I think every mother is proud of their children doing things, and I do love seeing him do things, I really do, but at the end of the day, you cannot make a child do something that he or she doesn't want to do. Even if you... I'm not pushy, I encourage him, and I really enjoy watching what he does. And at the end of the day, he's had so many opportunities that a lot of children have not had. He's been to so many places and done so many things that a lot of children haven't done. That why not? I mean, he's not doing his GCSEs, he's not missing a lot of school. So I encourage what he does. I worry more about how his behaviour's going to be on programmes like this than I do him doing that sort of thing. Because if he doesn't want to do something, he won't do it. If he doesn't want to speak to people, he won't speak to people.
Is that right?
You can't make a child do something they don't want to do.
Have there been occasions when you've said, look, Mum, I don't want to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mum was coming to you.
See what I mean? So are you telling me you didn't want to be here?
No, I'm in an audition because I have to do an audition tomorrow, and I said, no, I'm not doing it because I'm at school yesterday.
So you're not doing the audition tomorrow?
No.
Right. Is he not? Is he doing the audition?
He is doing it tomorrow. But at a different time, because I didn't want him to miss his school party. So he's doing it in the morning instead of the afternoon.
Is that okay?
It's a
I'm still
compromise.
missing something I like, but they don't.
Perhaps you could do a deal with her. You could say, look, I'll do 4 auditions a year. Your trouble, you know your trouble. You see, this creature is so gorgeous that no producers can turn him down, can they? You get all these jobs, don't you?
Not always.
Well, I imagine most of them. You see, so you can afford to say to your mum, look, you can say, I am an asset in this family. You can say, I've got star quality. Wouldn't it be dreadful if you started to talk like a star? That would be dreadful. We've got some other mums up here. It must be quite difficult, actually, knowing when it's their ambition and when it's your ambition. You've got talented daughters, is that right?
Well, I think they're quite talented, yes.
Right. Now, does she push you at all?
No, she's pretty good most of the time. Dance exams, she's a bit pushy. She wants us to get a really good mark though, and so I wouldn't say she's that bad. But she has been in the business herself, and so it makes her sort of pushy. But no.
Has she ever tried to persuade you to do something you really didn't want to do?
Not really. Mostly it's always my choice if I want to do something,
Okay.
but she encourages me and everything.
Right. What would happen if you decided, I don't want to dance again? What would happen?
Oh, well, that I have absolutely no idea what she'd say.
Yeah.
She'd still back me up, probably, wouldn't you? But I think she'd be a little disappointed because she's done that all her life, and I've inherited part of it, and she knows that I enjoy it.
Right.
She might be a bit disappointed.
Do you want to be a dancer? Do you want to go into the profession?
Yes, I want to do a fair amount of things. I want to do act. I love to do stage work. It's my favourite. But not all my life, not the whole time. I'd like to have some freedom to do something that I would want to do myself.
If she doesn't feel you're good enough, does she ever nag you at all?
Yes, I'd say that.
You do?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yes, this is the difficulty, isn't it? If you love a business as much as you clearly do, drawing the line between what your ambitions are for your talented daughters and what their ambitions for themselves are must be hard.
Well, it is. I just want them to enjoy what they're doing, but be good at what they're doing. Because I said it's no point in going to a stage school like they do if they're not very good. I couldn't bear it if they weren't very good. So that's why I'm always saying, you've got to get honours, or you only got highly commended. That's dreadful. And I have often said that to them, but fortunately they mostly get good marks, all of them, because they know it's in their interest. They won't get a hard time from Mum. It's a bit similar, really, isn't it, to what we were saying earlier, really.
Well, Eve was quite interesting earlier, very interesting, Eve, earlier, because you were saying the important role for Mum to have is not to be part of the rat race.
I really almost did the reverse with my daughter when she she went actually first into journalism, and I said, I think this is a very bad idea because it's very precarious, and as time goes on it will spread and it won't be the old Fleet Street I knew and magazines I knew. I think the dream of living your life through them you just got to be careful that they want to do it more than you do, I think, is the thing.
And I worry a bit because I think the pressure on all young people is so much these days. One way or another, you've got to get the gold star, you've got to be the best.
But it's pressure everywhere, isn't it? Whatever you do, whether you want, whether you get 8, 10 GCSEs, how many A-levels you get, whether you get to Oxford, Cambridge, or whatever university. So I think they're pretty level-headed, really. And I think maybe Lucy well, I think maybe Laura will go into television. I think she's after your job, actually.
Be my guest. Come and walk round.
She'd like to be a presenter, whereas Lucy may go to art college.
But you see, I did it by accident. You see, it's terribly important that you have other things going on in your life. I mean, suppose you got a terrible mark in your exam. Your mum said, "What? You only got a D?" Would you be able to say, "Mum, it's only an exam, for heaven's sake"?
Yeah, I'd probably say, "Look, Mum, it's not my fault. I did try hard, and I'm sorry that you're disappointed. But this is, you know, this is what I got, and I will try harder next time."
And she knows I love her anyway.
Jolly good. And you love her anyway. Well, that's the crucial thing. We've actually got another theatrical family here. There is, I suppose, no more effective way of becoming a star, if you're an actor, than going into a soap. Hazel Ainsworth's daughter Casey plays Little Mo in EastEnders. And we have a scene in which she is with her fictional grandmother, Mo.
Man treats you like that. He don't respect you. You're better off well out of it.
You just mind your own business.
It is my business.
No, it's not. I wish you'd like just leave me alone.
Is that what you want? Is it?
Yes, I said so.
OK, you go back to him. And he will do it again, Mo. He will. They always do. And when you come round here again, I will say to you, "You've made your bed, you lie on it, shall I?" You stupid little cow. We're only trying to help you. Who's that?
Look.
We ain't answering.
It might be Trevor.
That's why we ain't answering.
Now, how old was she when she started acting?
9. She was in Annie at the Victoria Palace.
Quite an old lady by your standards, Scott. 9?
Yes,
Veteran.
late starter.
Was that too late for you?
It was quite a difficult one for me, because I don't know whether they still do this now with children, but I was away from home when I did Annie, because I worked Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so I lived in a flat with chaperone and lots of other kids, and I was away from Mum for about 3-4 months, really. I used to come home at the weekends, but
2 years.
But 3 months, and it was very weird because I'd never ever spent a night away from her. I'd not even been in hospital or anything like that at all, so it was very strange for me and quite a sort of difficult experience in retrospect. And I don't think they do that anymore. I think the parents look after the children, spend a lot more time with them.
So in a way, you would have preferred not to do that as a child. You would have preferred to go into the theatre later. Is that right?
Well, I made my own choice. By the time I got to 13, I realised that I didn't like it anymore. Yes. My school didn't like it. We had a chat. Mum said, "Do you want to go to stage school?" I said, "Nope, don't think so. I want to do some proper schooling, be normal child." And then I made my own choice at 20. I decided to go to drama school then. So it was then my choice to do it.
Right, are you hearing this, Scott? She decided at one stage that she would not do any more acting, just for a while. And her mum said, "OK." Do you think if you said to your mum, "That's enough for the moment, I may go back to it later. I want to do football now," do you think she'd listen?
No, she probably wouldn't.
Is that unfair, Julia?
Well, it is. I mean, as I said before, he's met so many nice people and had so many opportunities. That is why I encourage him. But at the end of the day, if he really, really didn't want to do it and wasn't... He will quite often say before he's gone to a job, "I don't want to do it." We've got there and he's had a thoroughly good time. If I couldn't see that in him and he wasn't having a good time when he was there, then I would have a totally different view over what he does.
But what about Casey saying, at what stage did it get too much for you?
I think when I was 12, being with a lot of people who were older than me and being asked to be a professional at 9 and until I was 12, it just got it just got a bit much because you'd have to go on every night, even if you didn't want to. And I mean, it's different when you're doing television because you can go home every night. But this was going on in the evening, and then in the morning you'd get up and you'd do your schooling, and then you'd perform in the evening, and it was every night.
Well, Julie Peasgood is with us now. Julie, you've been in how many different soaps?
3, Esther.
Go on, name them for me.
I've been started in Brookside. I had the misfortune to bear Barry's baby.
Right.
And then I moved across the Pennines to Emmerdale, and currently I'm in Hollyoaks.
Right. So you certainly know about hard work and the theatre. So when Kate came along, what was your view about this?
Well, I didn't encourage her particularly, neither did I discourage her. And I remember when she was about 5, I was asked if she could learn lines quickly, and she does have a facility for remembering things, you know, very speedily. And she did do a film at 5, and then more and more things came along, and I was very strict during her school years, I have to say, because she's bright, and I wanted her to get the full value out of her education. And then I think when sort of you were 18, I mean, you did lots of things. You did French and Saunders and the Bill, always in holidays, and we did turn things down. Or I always consulted Kate. I mean, if she'd wanted to do something, I think I'd have obviously said, well, I would have said yes. But Kate, actually, like you, was very sort of, no, I want to do my schoolwork. Then at 18, Ballykiss Angel came along, and she
16.
did that.
Yeah.
And 2 series of that.
Shall we have a look at you in Ballykiss Angel? Does Mum ring you up afterwards and say, hey, that was a terrific scene?
At the end of every episode, the credits, the phone would go, Mum, oh, you look so nice, blah, blah, blah. I've got my friend Alice here, and Alice and her sister Kate would chat constantly through my scenes and listen to everyone else's. I would take the mic, what's your hair, what are you doing? But I have to say, everyone's been really supportive, and always Mum, really, has been my backbone. I wouldn't say pushy, just, as you said, really encouraging, because she could see that I enjoy it and she wanted to encourage me.
And what goes through your mind when you watch her?
I'm very, very proud, intensely. You know, I mean, Kate looks quite different now, and I remember I didn't like her hair that short. But
did you mention it?
Yeah, I have to say I did, Esther. Yeah, I did, because a couple of times, you know, the makeup girls didn't sort of do it the best. That you didn't do you justice.
All right. Did she go into makeup and say to the makeup girls, excuse me?
No,
she wouldn't do that.
Partly because it was filmed in Dublin.
Had it been closer, would you have walked in?
No, you would certainly not.
So she's quite frank with you?
Very frank. I mean, I can always sort of do something, a piece or anything, lines I've got for her. I can always be quite relaxed with her, and I know I'll get an honest answer.
Yeah.
She won't just sort of tell me what I want to hear. I know she'll always tell me the truth.
Now, of course, she's famous.
Yeah.
Does that ever embarrass you?
No, she's brilliant. I mean, I am really, really proud. It was a bit tricky when she first went into Hollyoaks, because I didn't find out the nature of her part until I went out.
What was the nature of her part?
Well, the first scene, she was naked in bed with green silk and a man half her age. It's true,
You didn't
Mum.
see anything.
It's true.
All the bits were covered.
So she jumpily.
I really filed for divorce, but I said I didn't find out by watching it. I went out, and all my male friends came up to me and said, "Oh, your mum." Your mum. I didn't know what was going on.
That is embarrassing. That I can see would be.
I watched The Omnibus on Sunday, and I was just screaming. Yeah.
Esther, it goes out at 6:30 at night. I'm not going to be starkers.
But daughters have a different take on this. I mean, from her point of view, or from the point of view of your friend, she was fairly starkers, was
Well, we always watch her and have a sort of good laugh. But she was fairly starkers, and you know. But then she looks good, so why not? I'd rather have a mum that does look really good and can wear clothes and like that. And
Hollyoaks is great, and I do love it. But after this scene, I had another one. It says, Jackie, that's my character, enters the swimming pool. She drops her coat and we see she is completely naked. And I just thought, thanks again for telling me. And I rang them up and I said, you have some of the best bodies in British television. Sadly, mine is not one of them. Please spare me. So we had a sort of a body kind of towel made that was just there to just there. And they filmed me there and they filmed me there.
But my mate still loved it.
Your mate still loved it. That didn't do any good. Anybody else got embarrassing mums in the studio? So she'd jump away. Tell me the most embarrassing thing about her.
Because when I was doing a holiday programme, she went up to sing and dance, and everyone voted for her, but I didn't because she was absolutely rubbish at it.
Don't you think all children think their mums are rubbish at singing?
But she was going, night fever, night fever.
Were you?
Don't give my secrets away.
You'll be glad in future. You'll think, thank goodness I've got a mum who could do that. Eh?
Anyone can do that.
Anyone could do it?
Yeah, look. Even my brother can do it. He goes...
So do you want her to be a bit more elegant and...
Yeah.
Yes, quieter. Yes. Madam, would you prefer your mother to be occasionally a little bit more elegant and refined than she is?
Yeah.
What would you say was the most embarrassing thing your mother ever did?
Well, the stuff that Hello usually photographs is quite bad. But then the stuff of you running around our house naked, they never get.
Right, this is my daughter, Rebecca. My moments, you see, of undress, but we keep those fairly private. Only, may I say, because I'm terrified of what a certain daughter will say. There was one cover of Radio Times you didn't approve of.
No, that was because you were dressed as a punk and I didn't really think it was very fashionable at the time.
I was terribly proud of that, all the leathers and the red wig, and you didn't think I should take that as a permanent image?
No, although you'd still wear leather trousers now and I think you're too old for it.
Esther, you've got a lovely bottom.
Thank you, Caroline. Now, you were also, I mean, obviously, one of the major stars of Big Brother. How did your mother take to that?
Well, obviously, before I went on the show, it was like a split. I mean, I'm from a very large family, and some of them wanted me to do it, and others didn't. But, you know, when I made up my mind I was going on, and it looked like I was going on the show, they were all, you know, they were all very supportive of me.
Right. Now, as I recall, the press weren't terribly kind to you. Why was that?
The press were horrible in actual fact when I came out. I mean, obviously I agreed to go on the show, so I'm putting myself up there, and if you want to write about me and have a go at me, then I put myself in the public eye, so, you know, that's fair. But one of the reasons that I was very upset on Big Brother, the first time I was nominated, and I was saying earlier, it's because it was the first time I'd actually realised the impact of what I could have done. You know, that maybe I've damaged other people on the outside, maybe the press were handing them and exposing things about their life.
What, you mean your own family?
Yeah, you know, and I felt very, very scared of that, and it all came at me all of a sudden. And
Were they, Mary?
Yes, believe you me.
What happened?
Every time I come outside the door, they even followed me to the bus stop, and I looked like, oh, I can't, nobody's darling. And they took a picture of me, and I was actually telling them to pee off, because they had followed me everywhere, and they took a picture of me like that. I looked awful and put a big caption up. Put a big caption up. Caroline's mum tells all. I never said a thing, you know, not a thing, only just to pee off, really. That's what I did.
Well, that is another aspect that we haven't talked about, which is that if your child becomes very well known, becomes a star, then you, as the mum, suddenly become newsworthy, and you may not be prepared for it.
I find I was having to dress up then. I normally just slug about like an old... You know, I like to be comfortable. But I was afraid to go outside the door being comfortable.
Well, my neighbours actually said to me that when they first saw Mum and the press were hanging around, when she didn't realise how the show was going and how I was going to be received, that, you know, she was telling them all to go away in not a very polite way. And then when I was going down OK on the show, the next time they seen her, she was all dressed up and in a finery. So, you know, I thank God for the programme for that, at least.
Well, at least your daughter doesn't think you're too old for leather trousers. What do you think about that?
She does, probably. Well, she doesn't, actually.
You wear leather trousers if you want, Pet.
There you are, look, you see. Excuse me. Let me just ask you a serious question. Do you think that, I mean, our family's had a certain amount of attention, some of it lovely, some of it less lovely, because of my career. Is this a pain for you?
No, I'm very proud of you.
Well, what do we think, gang? Do we think that our children have changed for the better, for the worse? Have they achieved ambitions that we wanted for them? What do the mums up here think? What would you say, Julie, about your daughter's great success in Valley Kiss Angel? Is this something that has been the icing on the cake?
Just at the end of the day, I really want her to be happy. I mean, Kate has actually gone back, as well as acting, she's gone back to doing her A-levels, which she had to give up. And I'm equally as proud of that, because that's been her choice. And it's a few fortunate people who actually make their living entirely out of this. So she's not putting all her eggs in one basket and keeping her mind open. At the end of the day, you just want them to be happy. It might sound corny and a cliche, but that's really what I want for her.
And let me ask you, Sheila, I mean, you've had so much reflected glory from that extraordinary son of yours. In the future, maybe some of that cavalcade will pass on. Perhaps, you know, he'll do something a little bit more boring and a little bit behind the scenes. Will you be disappointed once
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. He's achieved so much in his life. It's just wonderful. I just hope he'll be happy and well.
Happy and well, and health comes first. How do you feel about your daughter, Eve?
Oh, well, I would just repeat everything that's been said before. You want them to be happy. Yeah. It's such a joy for you to see them being successful, not for yourself, but for them, you know, and you think, well, I may not be here forever, they'll have something they can do. But, you know, I have other children who won't be, perhaps, famous. Doesn't matter, you just have to love them, whatever they do.
I tell you what I've really enjoyed about our programme. I've learned so much from all the different relationships that we've heard about. Some of the mums have been almost like coaches. Some of the mums have been completely astonished by the sudden fame or success that their children have achieved. And what is true of every one of these mums is that they're still extremely close, and the bond is still extremely loving and warm between them and their very successful children. So congratulations. Congratulations, ladies. Congratulations to all our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, from everyone here, goodbye.
Esther's recording a programme about people who are living without love. Have you given up on the opposite sex? Why? Or did they give you up? Do you miss anything about being part of a couple? Or are you far happier on your own? Call 2 if you're single because you're not prepared to commit. Ring now on 0870 608 4488.
Is your man making you fat? Zoe's partner encouraged her to lose 5 stone, but Liv's partner nags her and the weight stays on. Join us at 3:30 on BBC 2.